Welcome to the Audio Inc. Radio podcast, featuring interviews with the biggest names in rock and metal, hosted by Anne Erickson.
Get inked. Visit Facebook.com/Audio Inc. Radio, Twitter.com/Audio Inc. Radio, and AudioIncRadio.com for more ink. Whew, that's a lot of ink. It's AudioIncRadio.com.
I'm ready to rock another amazing episode of Audio Inc. Radio, the show with me, Anne Erickson. It is great to have you here. Thank you for being a part of the show and for rocking out with me on a weekly basis. I want to know, did whatever your parents do in life as far as their career, did that influence you at all in picking your career choice? I feel like everyone's different. Sometimes people, whatever their mom or dad did for a living, they end up falling in love with that idea and wanting to do the same thing. For me, my parents were educators. My mom was a teacher and my dad was a high school counselor. They met, big surprise, on the job at school, and I'm sure it was quite the scandalous thing. Actually, no, it wasn't, but very cute story. And I did end up teaching a little bit in college. I ended up teaching as part of my assistantship to help pay for the cost and that sort of thing. But I never grew up thinking I would be a teacher. Even though they had a good experience with it, it just never really occurred to me. I wanted to do something different than what my parents did. However, my mom was a speech teacher and she put me on the listening post in high school, which was where one day a week I would read the announcement over the intercom. It would go to every classroom in our school. And so I always say to my mom, I think that made me want to do radio. It didn't actually. Music is what made me want to do radio when I fell in love with music, with rock music. And I took voice in college as far as broadcasting voice. And I thought I want to be on the radio and talk about rock music because I fell in love with it. But if I were to go back to my first experience talking and people hearing me from over the mic or whatnot, it would be my mom putting me on the listening post. But I ask you that because the guest today is legendary. I mean, this guy is very hot right now, but he's not just hot with a bunch of buzz and nothing to back it up. He's hot because he is really talented. It's not just because of his family. It's because he's really talented. And I'm talking about Wolfgang Van Halen. Obviously, you know that his father is Eddie Van Halen. And I think it's really cool that Wolfgang wanted to follow in his father's footsteps and be a musician. Obviously, Eddie loved what he did, right? I mean, he always had a big smile on his face in every photo that I've seen of him performing guitar. And I think that really inspired Wolfgang to want to do it too. I don't know. I'm not a psychologist. I have no idea. But personally, I think that probably it really just inspired Wolfgang to want to do it. And now look at him. I mean, he's got his band, Mammoth WVH, and they've got their debut record out, which is getting rave reviews. Rave reviews from Audio Inc. Radio, but rave reviews just from everyone. I mean, all the biggest outlets and biggest names, everybody loves this. The fans, of course, just eat it up. And he's got #1 singles. I mean, Distance, the track that he wrote about his father, which, wow. I mean, I cannot get through that song without breaking down and crying a little bit because it is so personal and so beautiful. But Distance went #1, and now he's got Don't Back Down and just a bunch of tracks that are doing really well off the set. Mammoth WVH, that new record, is available now. And I think it's so cool that Wolfgang got into music and his father, I believe, encouraged it. We're going to talk about that. I mean, what impact did his father have on him becoming a rock star himself? I'm sure it was a big part of why he went into what he did. So I love seeing that. I love seeing that family connection. And I cannot wait to see these guys live. I mean, really cool that Mammoth WVH, they've been tapped by the one and only. Wait for it. Wait for it. Guns N' Roses. Yeah, Guns N' Roses actually asked Mammoth WVH to open for them on their summer tour throughout the US. How amazing is that? I mean, it doesn't get much bigger than Guns N' Roses personally wanting you to open for them. We're going to talk about that as well, because that is just really cool stuff, and that is pretty much impossible to beat. I'm very excited to have Wolfgang on the show. I've heard great stuff about him. I've been wanting to get him on the show for a while, and I was waiting for the new record to come out because obviously that gives him a lot to talk about. Last year he put out the new single, but now we have a full record of stuff to talk about, and it'll just be another fun show. Very happy that you are here with me. We're going to have a good time, as always. And don't forget that if you have an idea for the show or just want to say, hey, I'm a very friendly person, I would love to hear from you. Hit me up on social media. Head to itsmeanne.com. That's itsmeanne.com. itsmeanne.com to link up on my personal Twitter and Facebook, Snapchat, all that stuff. Twitter and Snapchat direct is at Anne Erickson. Instagram and TikTok is Erickson Anne. And you can also just search Anne Erickson on Facebook, and my page, my like page, will pop up, which I recently started. So I've got about 1,000 people on there. I don't know. But if you want to go check that out and give that a like, that would be great. Oh, and if you don't subscribe to the podcast yet, why not? What are you waiting for? I'm very disappointed in you. You just put a big frown on my face. I'd love for you to go subscribe. Just search Anne Erickson wherever you rock out to podcast, or search Anne Erickson with Audio Inc. Radio. But mainly, if you search my name, that's the easiest way for the show to pop up. Search Anne Erickson and hit that subscribe button, and you will be instantly notified of the next show and episode, because I usually post the show and then I wait a little bit to announce it on social media and stuff like that. So you are the first to know who my guest is and just what we're going to talk about. As you know, we talk about different music topics as well. It's not just the interviews, which are great and the biggest names in rock and metal, but we also have music commentary, which is always fun and random to just talk about a random subject. Like a few shows back, more than a few shows back at this point, but we talked about the most underrated Metallica tracks of all time. That was a fun one. And then on the subject of interviews, I mean, the biggest names in rock and metal. Already this year, we've had Stone Gossard from Pearl Jam, who was amazing. Just, it was fascinating to talk with him about the advent of Seattle, quote unquote, grunge music. Stone is a really smart guy, and he was at the genesis of it. If you haven't heard that show yet, check it out. It's a few episodes back. And another great one, Def Leppard's Rick Allen, which I'm a big Def Leppard fan. If you know anything about me, you know I'm a big Def Leppard fan. And that was great to talk with him. Very inspiring guy, and really cool that he has his own line of art, and his artwork looks really good. So check that out as well. It is all right here on the podcast. And if you want to see a visual, head to youtube.com/Audio Inc. Radio. That's INK like Tattoo Inc. youtube.com/Audio Inc. Radio. And you'll see some video interviews that are not on the audio podcast, that are not on the audio version of the show. Just video interviews with the biggest names in rock and metal. And finally, check out my band Upon Wings at uponwings.com for female-led metal music. All right, let's get into it. An amazing interview with Wolfgang Van Halen.
Hey, this is Wolf Van Halen from Mammoth WVH. You're listening to Audio Inc. Radio with Anne Erickson. Hello, hello.
Hey, Wolfgang, thanks. It's great to talk with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Of course. Well, first of all, congrats on your new record on the way. And wow, people have been waiting for this for a long time. So how does it feel to finally be in the home stretch?
Oh, it's very exciting. It's been such a long time coming, and to finally be this close, it's crazy.
Yeah. What really struck me is the success of both Distance and then your current single, Don't Back Down. I mean, Distance went #1, and then Don't Back Down is climbing the charts. What do you think it is about these tracks that's really striking a chord with people?
Gosh, I certainly couldn't have seen it coming. It's really surprised me. I think maybe Distance just kind of gave some an outlet in terms of how awful the past year has been. But with Don't Back Down, I really don't know. Everybody's just been so receptive. It's really surprised me.
In a good way, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
Distance is such a personal track, and I feel like a lot of the record is very personal. Was it difficult to open up like that in your music, or did it feel just natural?
Considering that it's, this is all me, I guess I just kind of went all in and just put my entire self into it. So I think that's why that the personal vibe really kind of comes out, because it's truly me, 100%.
What is your writing process like when you're writing lyrics?
That was the toughest thing for me to figure out. It kind of usually it starts with like melody that I get comfortable with, and kind of the tone of the song is what carries me into writing the lyrics. So the music always kind of dictates everything first for me.
And do you find yourself drawing from personal experience for the most part for the lyrics?
Yeah, it's almost always. But I do like to put the lyrics in a perspective that anyone can kind of take their own meaning from it. So it's not just like so personal that you can't really relate.
That makes sense. Your father, of course, the late, great Eddie Van Halen, who everybody just adores. And I'm wondering, did your father encourage you to do music? Because there are some parents in the arts who don't want their kids to do it, and then others are really encouraging.
Yeah, he was super encouraging. He and not in like a forcing me to do it way. He just saw that I had affinity for it and encouraged it.
Was there a moment when you felt like your dad was just loving what you were doing musically? Like, yes, I finally impressed him.
He was a very impressed father. He cheered me on in everything from me playing soccer to, gosh, this one time where I threw a pumpkin at a teacher who was mean to me in kindergarten. He told me to not miss the next time.
Wow.
It was one of those little pumpkins. It wasn't a big one.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, he just cheered me on in literally everything, and he couldn't have been happier with the music. He was the only other person who had all the ideas on his phone other than me. He even had stuff that kind of hit the cutting room floor that'll probably show up on another album or something. So he was definitely the proudest parent.
I think he would be like so proud of you right now too, just seeing, everything you've done so far with the album.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I wish he was here to see everything.
Well, it's so awesome that you're going to be opening on this Guns N' Roses tour. That's crazy. I mean, first of all, what are you most excited about?
It's insane. Like I can't believe it's like the highest honor that they thought of us and want to take us out. I can't believe it. I was excited in general just to go on tour, but to take part in this, it's a whole other thing. I'm blown away.
Do you know the guys personally at all?
Yeah, I'm buds with Slash, and I've met Duff on occasion. I've heard nothing but great things, so I'm very excited.
How did you find out?
Management had kind of said that it was a possibility because they were interested, and I of course, it just seemed like way too pie in the sky. So I was just like, okay, I'm just going to let my hopes down early because there's no way it'll happen. And then they called me and was like, hey, it looks like it's going to happen. And I still can't believe it.
That's amazing. So have you seen them perform live before? Have you been at shows?
I haven't. I've seen Slash because I'm good friends with Miles, and Frank is in my band too. So,
Right.
but I've yet to see Guns, so I'm very excited just as a fan to be able to see them.
Wow, that's incredible that you haven't even seen them. I mean, I guess it's only recently they did the whole Not in This Lifetime tour and stuff like that, but still, that's really cool.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see.
Do you have a favorite GNR track?
Oh man, that's a tall ask.
Sorry.
I think just Appetite, just front to back is just one of the best.
Oh yeah, you can't go wrong with Appetite. So you've already done a ton of cool things with your press run. I mean, Howard Stern and network TV appearances and stuff like that. What's been your favorite, aside from, of course, appearing on Audio Inc. Radio?
At the risk of sucking up and saying this, I think it was really fun to do Kimmel, because the last time I played it was with my father, and we did it on Hollywood Boulevard, and it was a really crazy memory for me. So to return and kind of play a song for him felt really, really nice. Mm-hmm. It's really special for me.
Oh yeah, and that's such a great show. I mean, people love that show.
Yeah, Jimmy's a nice guy too.
Do you have a favorite track off the new record? One that you just cannot wait to perform live for people?
It's tough because it's like picking kids, but I'm really excited for people to hear Stone, which is like
that's my favorite track.
album.
That's my favorite track off the record. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm really excited to see how we could translate that live, and so it's really fun to make kind of an epic, longer song, and I think it's a vibe that people haven't heard yet with any of the tracks out, so I think it might surprise some people.
I totally agree. I mean, when I listened, that track really stood out, and I was actually going to ask, what was kind of your inspiration behind that one?
It was, I really wanted to, like, from the beginning, make this kind of, like, epic finale to the album. And so I just kind of went all in and made a longer song because it's over 6 minutes. And it was fun to kind of see how my writing worked in that sort of space.
Are you already thinking ahead to a follow-up? I mean, this won't be the only record from you guys, I guess.
Oh, no, this is what I plan on doing. Tons of ideas hit the cutting room floor that I'd like to return to that I'm sure will show up on the next few albums. And I've already written so many ideas in the past year on lockdown that I'm itching to get back in the studio.
That's awesome. Musically, is there some best advice that your father gave to you at some point, or something that you learned from him that you have really used with your music?
I mean, overall, just to have a good time, and to not take anything too seriously. But one piece of advice that, it's a bit of a joke, but his father would tell him, and he would tell me, if you ever make a mistake, do it twice so the audience think you meant to do it.
That's great. I love that. Sometimes during a show, the best parts are quote-unquote mistakes, I think.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of makes it a personal experience.
So I love your social media accounts because you are just so real. And I love that you just kind of like, you're just such a real person on there. You're not filtered. So, I mean, how do you use social media to connect with people?
I think it's really fun. I mean, the app kind of allows you to say anything at any time and connect to anyone. So it's like when I use the app as intended, some people are like, why are you doing this? And it's like, because I can, and it's fun. I don't know. It's just, I just find a way to enjoy myself, and I just have a good time.
No, that's true. I mean, that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a way to talk to people, Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was wondering, do you have a favorite Van Halen song?
That is a tough question. I would probably, I think the closest I can narrow it for that question is in the Roth era, Fair Warning in 1984 are the albums I lean to, and in the Hagar era, For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge and Balance are the albums that I lean towards. Not that I don't like the others, because they're all amazing in their own ways. But that's about as tightly as I can close it for you.
That's awesome. What do you miss most about your dad?
Just hanging out with him. Just like it's not even like a musical thing. Just being able to sit next to him on the couch and talk to him about my day and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. I know
you know,
sometimes,
just stuff.
I feel like sometimes it's the little things that I miss most about the people, who are no longer on Earth.
Absolutely. Big time.
So what are you most excited about when it comes to your fans finally hearing the full new record?
The response has been so amazing so far that I'm just so excited for them to hear the whole package as intended, front to back. It's, I picked the songs that are out there for a reason so people could kind of get a good taste, but I'm really excited for them to have the whole thing.
So you, even though you're young, you've experienced different eras of music because of your family and everything. What are your thoughts on the state of rock music today? Do you think it's in a good place?
I think things could always be better, but it's certainly not the star child in music right now. But I think it's got its place, and it certainly has the opportunity to kind of rise back up again and share the stage.
Live music is starting to come back, obviously, and it feels so great. But do you think that it's going to go back to how it was right away, or do you think it's going to take time that people be kind of gun shy when it comes to, enjoying music shoulder to shoulder?
It'll definitely take a lot of time, but I think it's a good start. I'm really excited to see how it starts going, but it'll definitely be a long process, I think.
Awesome. Let me ask one more thing about the Guns N' Roses tour, because that is just such great news and everything. Yeah, what are you most excited about when it comes to like going on tour and hanging out with the guys and getting to perform for this huge audience?
Oh, it's just an honor. It feels, I don't know. I'm very nervous, but I'm also incredibly excited. For them to think of us is an incredible gesture, and I'm honored. I'm very excited.
Do you think that you'll jam on stage with them a little? That would be really cool at some shows.
Oh man, that would be insane. That's not even something I thought about, so now I'm more nervous.
Well, now you have to make it happen.
Yeah, wow, yeah, absolutely.
Aside from Guns N' Roses, do you have any other bands that you would just love to tour with that you think would be a good fit for the band?
Well, this was one of the tall dream things. So I guess reaching up that tall again would be like Foo Fighters or AC/DC or something like that.
I could see Foo. Actually, I could see both, but I feel like Dave Grohl, he always kind of tours a lot and that sort of thing, so I could definitely see Foo Fighters.
That would be incredible.
Well, it's been awesome chatting. Is there anything else that you want to add?
No, that was great, as long as you're happy.
Well, thank you again so much, and definitely stoked to see you on the Guns N' Roses tour. I'm in the Detroit area, so hopefully you guys,
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I cannot wait to see you live too, because obviously with COVID and everything, I've been wanting to see you guys live, and that wasn't a thing.
Oh, well, that's awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
Definitely look forward to your fans hearing the record too. It is a great record, so congrats.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
There he is, Wolfgang Van Halen. Thank you for being an amazing guest on my show. Wow, what a great person. Totally down to earth. You would never guess that he grew up in the presence of rock royalty, and you would never guess that he's one of the hottest up-and-comers on the scene because he's just so nice and so down to earth. What a great time I just had chatting with Wolfgang Van Halen. Check out the debut from Mammoth WVH. If you like good rock music, you will not be disappointed. Dropped in early June, and Distance, of course, is a tearjerker, but there are a bunch of other just really great tracks on there to check out. The debut from Mammoth WVH. And once again, Wolfgang, thank you for being an awesome guest on my show. Wow, that was a fun and once again, very fast episode. I feel like the second I start these, bam, they're over because they're always so much fun, and I always have so much fun hanging out with you on the show. And if you want to link up with me on social media and take the party online, it's very easy. Just head to itsmeanne.com, 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 and you can link up on my personal Twitter and Facebook and all that stuff. Twitter and Snapchat direct is at Anne Erickson. Instagram and TikTok is Erickson Anne. And you can also just search Anne Erickson on Facebook, and my page should pop up, my like page, and I always check my messages and stuff like that there. Yeah, another way to get in touch. And if you have an idea for the show, a guest or a topic, because I like to switch it up and also do different fun topics. I would love to hear from you. Or if you just want to say that you listen, I would just be very happy to hear from you. And if for some reason you don't subscribe yet, hopefully this episode convinced you to do it. It's very easy. Just search Anne Erickson wherever you rock out to podcast. Hit subscribe and you'll be instantly notified of the next episode before I even post about it anywhere online, because that's kind of how it is. I wait a little bit after the show is posted and you're the first to know about it and the first to hear it. Check out our YouTube at youtube.com/Audio Inc. Radio. That's INK, like tattoo ink. youtube.com/Audio Inc. Radio. And you can see visual interviews with the biggest names in rock and metal music. Rick Emmett up there, that was a huge one. That was really cool to talk with him. Jeff Pilson of Foreigner and the End Machine. He was a fun one too. Just a bunch of great interviews up there, visual ones to check out right now. My band is Upon Wings, which you can check out at uponwings.com and search Upon Wings on Spotify. Follow us on there. Check it out. Female-led metal music. And the latest single is Eternal Way, featuring Ralph Sheepers of Primal Fear and Gamma Ray. And you can also see the music video for that at uponwings.com. And finally, if you are able and want to support the show, that would be awesome. Our Patreon is located in the show details. Actually, all you have to do is go to the show details and you'll find a direct link to the Patreon. It's actually patreon.com/Anne Autumn, ANNEAUTUMN, but it's easier just to go to the show details. Or check out our sponsors, built.com. Head there, get a yummy protein bar like the German chocolate cake. Built.com with the coupon code ANNEXO10, ANNEXO10. Built.com for yummy stuff. That is all the business. Thank you for hanging out with me while I took care of business. And once again, I just want to thank you for rocking out with me and hanging out with me. I always have just a great time doing the show, and it feels so good to know that you are listening and that you are a part of it. And it feels even better when I can bring on great guests like Wolfgang Van Halen or Stone Gossard, Charlie from Anthrax. I mean, all of the different guests who have been on the show, they've all brought something unique, and they're all a part of rock and metal in a different way. Thank you again just for hanging out with me on the show and being my good friend, my buddy. We got to name it something. They always say study buddy in college. Yo, you're my study buddy. So I'm going to think on that. And the next show I'll have whatever the heck we are. It's not study buddy, but it's something else. All right. It's Anne Erickson. And until next time, be safe. God bless. And we'll rock soon.
It's Audio Inc. with Anne.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Audio Inc. Radio Podcast. Subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode. Get inked online at audioinkradio.com. I'm Anne Erickson for the Audio Inc. Radio Podcast.